Hey everyone, welcome to Ian and Friends Giro d'Italia edition. I am FloBikes senior editor Ian Dille.
And I am Michael Sheehan, Ian's friend. Today we saw the penultimate stage of the Giro d'Italia, a quick 214 kilometer jaunt at the end of a brutal stage race.
Yeah, Tom Dumoulin's last chance to win this bike race and take down Chris Froome, who had one of the most ridiculous rides in Grand Tour history yesterday. Took back more than 3 minutes on Tom Dumoulin and is now wearing the pink jersey. So let's get into it. How did it play out? There was 3 summits, 3 Cat 1 climbs in the last 80 kilometers of this race, and we finally saw a breakaway.
Yes, we have been waiting for 3 weeks for a successful breakaway to make it. Someone who's been waiting more than us is Tony Martin. Tony Martin finally got himself into a winning breakaway because everybody else was too tired to stop him. But unfortunately, he was too tired from trying every day for 3 weeks to actually make it to the finish.
I feel like if they had ridden this stage in the opposite direction, like if they had gone over the mountains first and then done flats for the last 120K, it would have been Tony Martin's day. The fact that there were 3 mountains and a summit finish didn't bode too well for him. And the person who did take advantage of this was Mitchelton-Scott and Mitchelton-Scott. What a ride.
Yeah, you know, this team has been on a roller coaster ride all this entire tour. They have had really just like a out of the blue amazing race. I think that these riders have just been on a high and feeding off of each other for 3 weeks. And what happened to Simon Yates was super unfortunate, losing the jersey, but obviously this team has just gelled so well and worked so well together that they, you know, salvaged a kind of catastrophic situation for Yates and got a stellar 5th stage win.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't win the race, which I think they very, very much would have liked to do, but to come back the day after such a blow to the team and win the penultimate stage, one of the hardest stages of this whole race, it's pretty phenomenal. And it's also, you know, when a team takes 5 wins in a Grand Tour, that's something we would expect out of Quick-Step.
Mm-hmm.
To win 5 mountain stages, that's insane.
You know, well, that's kind of what I'm saying is so much of what makes a professional cycling team successful is just the morale behind the scenes. Are these guys enjoying themselves at the dinner table? Because they basically live together on the road for these tours. And you know, if everybody is just living on a high and feeding off of each other's success, it just perpetuates more success. And I kind of think that that's what happened. Yesterday with Simon Yates cracking and losing the jersey, it could have gone one of 2 ways. Either they left Italy with their tail between their legs, or they said, you know what, we have an amazing team here. We are riding better than, you know, really the team has ever ridden in the past. Let's go out and make one more good bike race happen, and that is exactly what Mitchelton-Scott did.
Yeah, and go to our site, look at some of our interviews that we have with the domestiques on Mitchelton-Scott, Jack Haig, Chris Jules Jensen, and these guys are just super laid back. Their take on Simon Yates, you know, rooming with him, being on the road with him, is that it is just a very laid back, there's a strong bond between the racers on this team. So it'll be interesting to see them come back and what they'll do at the Tour next year, maybe even the Vuelta. Maybe the same crew of racers will be at the Vuelta.
Yeah, you know, I think that this is a big step for the Mitchelton-Scott program. And, you know, Ian kind of was like, okay, yeah, we'd expect it from Quick-Step. There is a new major player. Not that Mitchelton-Scott hasn't been that good, but they haven't had like the win streak that Quick-Step has had this year. But I think that we are going to see a lot more of them this year because, like I said, success just perpetuates more success.
Yeah, new powerhouse team. And this was also a solid breakaway. We had Mohoric in it. Michael Woods, we had an interview with him before the stage. He's been sick, really struggling, but kudos to him. He gave it one last shot, and he was one of the last men standing in the breakaway. So great race, Michael, and hopefully we'll see him at the Vuelta as well.
Yeah, definitely more Grand Tour success to come for him.
Yeah, let's get to the last climb of the day. You know, Sky really got an easy ride all day. It wasn't entirely clear why Astana was pulling on the front the majority of the stage, and then Movistar went to the front. But for whatever reason, Sky didn't have to do much defense of the jersey today coming into the final climb. And we're thinking maybe the reason that Astana was pulling is Pinot was starting to show cracks, and he did end up totally falling apart.
Another just GC rider completely crumbles today, which is what we've seen this entire tour. Chavez crumbled, Yates crumbled, Pinot, he was third overall. He is gone, completely gone in the GC. He just cracked.
Yeah, it's been a total race of attrition. I mean, you look at some of the guys in the top 10, and they're guys that have just hung on day by day, not done anything necessarily phenomenal, but stuck around.
Yeah, I'm going to give Nate Brown another social media shout out, EF Education First. He posted on Instagram today, this was the hardest Grand Tour he has ever done. And he's still young, but he has quite a few of these under his belt at this point. And what we have seen on the screen is exactly what the riders are feeling. This has been a brutal Giro d'Italia, and yeah, survival of the fittest.
Yeah, I mean, which brings us to how impressive it was to see Dumoulin going for it in the last 5K on the final summit finish of the entire Giro d'Italia. I don't think he necessarily wanted to attack. I think everything inside his legs, his body, his mind was telling him, you are way too tired, way too exhausted. Chris Froome is too strong. But he went for it, not just once, but multiple times. And he had Froome on the ropes. I mean, it looked like this race was going to turn upside down again, but Chris Froome was just too strong.
Yeah, this is why we love Tom Dumoulin. He is just a fighter until the end, and he went down swinging. We have a great interview with him up on the side also, where he said he has no regrets. He knew that he would regret it for the rest of his life if he didn't try to attack and take the jersey today. He did everything that he could today, and honestly, we've been saying it this entire 3-week show. He has nailed his preparation. He was exactly where he wanted to be for this Giro d'Italia, and just turns out that there were people stronger than him on decisive days, but he has fought tooth and nail for his second place, and great finish. He's got to be happy with it.
Yeah, and we're gonna see a lot more awesome Grand Tour battles out of Tom Dumoulin. Hopefully Chris Froome, depending on what happens with his sanction and salbutamol case, Simon Yates. I mean, there's a whole class of Grand Tour riders we're seeing at this Giro. Miguel Angel Lopez, Carapaz. Pozzovivo might stick around a little bit longer. Whatever issues Pinot's having, hopefully he gets over it. But
let's talk on the young rider thing. Because normally what we have seen from young rider competitions in the Giro and the Tour is there's usually just one odd really young guy, like a Louis Menkes, just tacked on to the back of these big gun experienced Grand Tour riders. What we saw today was the young rider battle was leading the charge in the final 3 kilometers of the race with the GC contenders. Miguel Angel Lopez and Richard Carapaz, those guys are insanely strong and just so young, which is, wild.
Yeah, and yesterday too, I mean, that was one of the beauties of this bike race, that the races within the race were actually affecting the overall battle, which that's a best case scenario because you're getting multiple races for one. We had a tweet yesterday that the old guys were finally getting fed up with with the young guys' antics because, on the finishing climb of the Jaffreux and today, Lopez and Carapaz were just going after it, and that causes everybody else to change, causes shakeups, so the more attacks, the better.
Yeah. Think we're going to see any attacks tomorrow?
Typically these are a procession. This is sort of the Champs-Élysées type finish. It's in Rome. It's a circuit. It's only 115K. But this is a technical circuit. There are a lot of turns. I sent Chad Haga a message. You actually raced in his hometown. You did his hometown criterium last night.
I did.
Bike the bricks.
I was a road warrior yesterday. Drove 8 hours to do a bike race.
I was like, let's bring some of those Texas criterium tactics, those Dutch and Belgium kermesse tactics to Rome tomorrow. Let's light this thing up. Let's get another bike race. The odds of that happening, I think, are pretty slim, but there's a lot of technical turns and tight twists. So
they're cobbles.
Yeah.
They race around the Coliseum. It's going to be a really, really cool show to watch. There's a cobbled turn going into 1K to go right around the Coliseum. Just historic streets of Rome. It's going to be a really, really cool finish to this Giro.
Yeah, and regardless of what happens in the GC battle yesterday, we're definitely going to be treated to another phenomenal sprint stage. Sam Bennett's last chance to get a victory before they head out, and Ella Viviani obviously going to be tough to beat, but Sam Bennett has had his number before. And don't forget about Modolo, Van Poppel. There's a lot of guys banging on the door as well.
Yeah, one last chance tomorrow. Don't miss it.
We'll see you then.
Thanks for joining.